Hi everyone, this is Killshot 99 Gaming. This is The Walking Dead Season 10 finale news, updates, rants, theories, rumors, a little bit of everything. You guys know we don't get to get together every single night like we used to because we're just trying to compile some of the information. I mean, we're going to get together. Love you guys. Want to see you guys every day, but there's just only so much news that is out there that is interesting, entertaining. But I do think we got a few things tonight that are discussion worthy. CSI, 999 CSI worthy, rant worthy, all of the above. We're probably going to get a little taste of each of those things. Hopefully you guys are staying safe and, those guys that have been here. I love to see our Walking Dead fans here in full effect. And when we do these streams, we always get to see a few additional fans. We get do a little bit of Q&A. We also got our PDL players here almost every other night as well. So tonight I am going to jump on a couple topics. I see Alan Arthur. Good to see you, my man. Thanks to all of you guys for being here. We are going to do a little bit of Q&A. We're going to do a little bit of mailbag. We're going to get some information out there. But I would never forgive myself if I don't start this stream by first and foremost thanking all of the incredible supporters of this channel, whether it's been Walking Dead or Play Dead Live. Some people are more involved, more interested when we're doing Walking Dead, but a good portion of our members have been members all throughout, even though the Walking Dead season has been out. We get some members they'll sign up for members during the season, understandable. But we also have some of our supporters that are 24/7, 365 days a year, members and patrons. And I want to give a special shout out to each and every one of you, no matter what we're talking about. Chris Rainig, there's one. Chris has been a member for probably 3 years on the channel, and certainly not a PDL player, but loves The Walking Dead. And Chris, you and Darlene, I appreciate everything that you guys have done and your continued support. So thank you for all that you guys do. And that is my segue into announcing the 2 new superfans of the month. I'll have their emojis set up by the weekend. But I do want to announce, you don't have them yet, everybody, but the next 2 superfans are going to be our very own Gemstone and also Moonshot. So Jason and Karen, I want to just give a shout out to you and thank you for all that you guys do. But Jim and Moonshot are going to be our next 2 superfans that we're going to come up with emojis and be able to acknowledge them. And we are going to get some additional people. We're going to do a survey on our Facebook fan page, and we're going to have some votes for the rest of the year. So I think they are very, very deserving of the recognition, as many of you are. We've got a lot of people deserving of the recognition, but we'll update their emojis and get them some additional interest and excitement and conversations, and let them bug you guys a little bit. So, all right, what do you guys want to talk about? Like I said, it's going to be very, very casual stream. As we're talking about Walking Dead, this is one of the streams where I don't have to say, B-dub, throwing a bomb at such and such is going to do 15 damage. I get to be a little bit relaxed and, not flipping through pages and items and keeping score. So I'm going to go through just some of the news topics out there. One, and this first one is going to go down into probably the duh category of the year. So this was up there, and the news article was Andrew Lincoln, very intense actor. So that's where it started, and then multiple sources cut and pasted the same article, and they talked about how acting with Andrew Lincoln, he takes it a step further. Like if it's a fight scene, he roughhouses a little bit more, but he's a very intense actor. So that's newsworthy. This one, I'm not sure about. This was the LA Times, and if you guys saw this, let me know. Apparently, Chandler Riggs is looking for a tenant for, I guess, one of the rooms of his house. So if you guys are interested in renting a room from Chandler Riggs, that was an article that was out. These are real articles. This is why we don't talk Walking Dead every single night, because this is what I'm going to be throwing at you guys. But apparently, that's if we got a couple volunteers. Julia says, me, I'll take that room. And this is one that I wanted to stoke up a little bit. So I'm not going to say it straight. It's a theory. I'm not going to go straight George Drake on you guys and say it's fact. But I got a strong feeling about this, and we put it in the thumbnail. And if you guys are with me on this, leave your thoughts. I think the season finale is going to be a virtual event at San Diego Comic-Con. I think we're close enough to July. There's going to be a lot of virtual interactions at San Diego Comic-Con. And I'm going to say right now is my bold prediction that is going to be when they unveil it. Fluff wants to know, will Chandler offer unlimited pudding? Yes, if you sign a 2-year contract, he will. Here's why I think it'll be San Diego Comic-Con. Well, see, Dan, this is what I'm hearing. I've heard there are going to be virtual alternatives to San Diego Comic-Con. So hold tight. Now, the time frame, even if it is completely, even if they don't have it, I think that's the time frame that you're going to be looking at. Because if they're starting tomorrow, people can start getting back into studios. June 12th was the date that we heard, right? That they would be starting on some of the editing, some of the sound. They got to get people together. So even if that happens, I think you're looking at a couple weeks out. So I don't think they're going to get together tomorrow and then announce The Walking Dead at Father's Day. So I think that's a little bit aggressive. So once you get everything 100% ready to go, you still got to hype it up a little bit. So are they going to hype it up to a degree where they roll it out 4th of July? You guys think 4th of July weekend is going to be Walking Dead? I don't think so. So that gives a little bit more time. And whether there's virtual Comic-Con alternatives or not, I still think that July 22nd weekend, that time frame, is probably a good time frame. And if you can't roll out, I mean, think about it. What do they do every year? Every year at San Diego Comic-Con, we get the teaser of the next season. So they haven't been filming. And even if they start filming in a couple of weeks, they're not going to have anything to give us for season 11. So I think as compensation, that Comic-Con range is going to be probably a safe timeline. Now, that would be the earliest. But I do think it's a good target they could shoot for. Otherwise, you push it back to August, September. I mean, we still got the new show that's been doing some filming. We got Fear of the Walking Dead. So we're going to get some Walking Dead in August. We have to. So if we're going to get some Walking Dead around that time frame, we've got to finalize the finale. That's a nice, finalize the finale. Great choice of words. But you get what I'm saying. And the hype has already started. And what I mean by that is when actors are going on other shows talking about it's going to be really good, we're getting close, we can't wait. I think those are the buzzwords that certainly mean that that we're within striking distance. So we're going to get back to that. We'll debate that. I'll get your thoughts on it. I guess this is a beautiful opportunity because this was by Screen Rant. So it's a good chance for me to get into a kills rant. And they posit that Alexandria killed The Walking Dead. So I'm just going to leave it at that comment. And I'm going to let you guys dissect that a little bit and give me your thoughts on just a generic statement of why you either agree with that or you disagree with that. It said Alexandria killed The Walking Dead. Now, I'll give you some of the backstory to why they made that comment. It wasn't like hardcore statistical research. I mean, it was some Nielsen ratings and a few other things. So, one, they said that the feel of Alexandria on the TV show was much different than, wasn't destruction of Alexandria busy. They said the arrival of of the group to Alexandria made the show boring, and that's when viewers started to check out. Now, I will agree that around that time frame is when viewers started leaving the show. I'm not ready to agree that it was because of Alexandria. It's a little fatigue. I mean, people watching the show for a long period of time, ratings did start to tail off slightly before that, actually. So they have some factual data to support it, but some of that data, I think, could be merely coincidental. So when they arrived at Alexandria, I would agree that the television show in Alexandria felt much different than the comic dynamic. I thought the comic dynamic, they pretty much got to Alexandria within a couple episodes. All hell was breaking loose. I think Morgan died at Alexandria in the comic. And then you had the Spencer deal. You had Abraham getting shot in the eye. So I guess the point is, a lot more happened at Alexandria in a short period of time in the comic book. Would you agree with that statement? That once they got to Alexandria and Aaron was there, that they didn't really have a 3 or 4 episodes of reprieve. So I can support that part of it. And maybe that was the basis. So is it possible that the lower ratings were some of the comic book fans basically saying, look, this has a different feel than the comic, I'm out. So maybe some of the viewers they lost were comic book fans who liked that the show was sort of more true to the comics up to that point. Because it did feel as if in the comics you could kill anybody, anywhere, anytime. I mean, Morgan died. And on the TV show, they didn't feel the need to kill as many people because of the connection the viewers have. And I guess in a comic book, you can just take for granted that the interviews are happening. And on the TV show, you actually got to have them sit down and have Deanna interview everybody. But you guys can help me out with this. I only read through it once. So comic book fans, who was the dude that was in charge of Alexandria in the comics? Because I think that's one important dynamic, right? So the guy that was running Alexandria in the comics, he was shady. And Deanna seemed to be more of the hero role. Right, I'll have to go back. I mean, I do too. I forgot his name. That's why I was asking. Where's my comic book fans? You guys are supposed to know this like the back of your hand. But I think that part of it was certainly different. Because you go from, in the comic, a shady leader, Morgan dying, Abraham getting shot in the eye, the battle with Negan picking up really quickly, with Dwight, with Jesus, and the partnership happening very quickly, to really like 2 seasons of things that happened once they got to Alexandria. So I partially agree. Douglas Monroe, exactly. Doug was the leader. Great. Thank you for that. Coma drug. I appreciate that. Now it's starting to come back to me. Because in the comic, it felt as if, okay, let me ask you this. I don't want to kind of answer that question for you. But did you think parts of Alexandria in the comic gave you a little bit of that, oh no, here comes the governor part 2 vibe? I felt a little bit of that from when they first got there. Like, I don't know what to think about Doug. So I guess I was always a little bit on edge in the comic. And in the TV show, and this is their argument, like I said, Screen Rant has really let me down in the past. But I thought this article was interesting enough to talk about. I see Anthony in the house. And by the way, we are having a Play Dead Live box opening on Saturday. So we'll be playing Play Dead Live tomorrow night. We'll also be doing a box open on Saturday. So Anthony, thank you so much. Appreciate that. And best of luck on Saturday. And look, I never would have been one of those to say, I never really got into too much of the debate. Is the comic better? Is the TV show better? Because we have fans of both. But the comic did keep me on my toes because you're just reading a small pane. And then you go to the next one and the next one. So they got to cram this information in there. But Deanna never really... I mean, let's be honest here. What was Deanna's big kind of forceful, maybe borderline creepy moment, right? It was when Rick was wearing the security guard uniform and he was down on his knees. You mean me? You talking to me? You know, that one. And then she's just kind of like standing there waiting for it to happen. And Michonne comes up and Michonne clubs him to save his life. So would Deanna have pulled the trigger there? Maybe. But overall, I think Deanna showed her she was a little apprehensive, and when everything went down, she panicked a little bit. I think she ended in a good spot. But tonight I'm going to do something fairly rare. I do see some things in this Screen Rant article that I agree with. Shocking. I know it's shocking, but I do have the ability to appreciate some of their work, even though it's not always very good. But I think it's a fair debate. Is the prison was never like that, but there was something, the farm was never like that. There was something about Alexandria that did feel a little bit slower and a little bit more drawn out. Now that I think about it, I don't appreciate it any less because I'm a fan of the show. And I guess it's always about hindsight. You can go back and look at it like, look, hey, when we're going through Alexandria, didn't bother me at all. But now that I got a chance to sort of step back and compare it, which I do think is fair, we can do that as fans, it does seem like there was a little extra time, a little bit more security, a little bit more, was a little bit more comfy, didn't kind of keep you on your toes. Could be budgeting, could be, hey, they're finally in a good spot, let's keep them there. But then I guess the question is, could they have rolled into the Negan story arc a little bit sooner? And then if you take Alexandria and then go to season 7, you still had more lag time in Alexandria because right after the whole Rick Negan lineup and the whole snot bubble ordeal, and Rick went back and you didn't know, is he playing the game? Is he trying to get his people to follow? Is he sneaky Rick? Is he loyal Rick? All of those things. Simon paid a few visits there. That was actually drawn out as well in Alexandria. Much, much more than the comics. So I don't know. I mean, I think it's a fair debate, and one second. So Yeah, to my knowledge, Alicia, they arrived in Alexandria at the very end of season 5, which I don't think is a fair comparison for ratings when you're talking about the last 4 episodes. So you're taking into account 75% of season 5 was not related to Alexandria, and then the ratings started to fall when they got to Alexandria, I guess would be. I mean, we could probably look at episode 13, 14, 15, 16 and see if that's what the ratings were compared to the mid-season finale. But I would venture a guess that the beginning of season 5 was probably much, much more of a boon than the end of season 5. But I don't think there's the continuation of Alexandria. I don't think is much of a debate, because the longer they stayed there, the more challenges they had. And let's talk about major events that happened in Alexandria. So let me ask you guys this. What's the overall thought of Jadis? The Jadis storyline, the scavengers, the junkyard. Because I'll tell you, at the time, that was not a very popular story arc. In fact, I think most of my viewers would probably say that the Jadis story was probably one of the, I'm not going to use the word lame, but one of the things that they did not enjoy. And the Jadis story was centered around the group when they were in Alexandria. And I think you got all of these kind of subgroup, subplots. So if you guys are just tuning in, let me first and foremost say, I have not made a decision on this. So I'm talking through it. And if you guys are new to the channel, I may waffle back and forth 4 or 5 times before I actually take a stand on it. But I'm not done. I got to lay the facts out on the table. I can't just go in and say, this is right, this is wrong. I got to sort of analyze it and get a little bit of your feedback, and we sort of talk through it to see if it's a valid argument. And I'm leaning toward there's some validity to what they wrote. I don't know if I wholeheartedly agree with it, and I think I'll probably come to terms with some middle ground. But I do want to think about what exciting happened in Alexandria over the few seasons that they were there. And was it to the level that we saw previously? Or did our expectations just change? I see Northside Queen says, hey, Kills, can I get a happy 6th birthday shout out to my son, Rommel, pronounced Romel. Romel, thank you in advance. Absolutely, Romel. Happy birthday. Hopefully you're having a wonderful birthday, and a big shout out to your mom as well, longtime viewer and sub of this channel. So appreciate you, and hopefully you have an incredible birthday. And as Walking Dead content ramps up, you guys know we're going to be here. We're not going anywhere. But I said it at the beginning of the stream, and if you tuned in late, I'm going to say it again. I'm not doing a stream full of fluff where we have nothing to talk about. I want to consolidate some things. But when the news starts hitting hot and heavy, when the spoilers are out, when we can make the predictions, when there's 3 Walking Dead shows, when there's movie news, then you better believe, check, make sure you hit that little bell. Remind yourself, because we'll be streaming, we'll be talking about it with as much as anybody. But tonight I think we got something that is chat-worthy. So the question I want to bounce back to you guys we know that. Let's extract the Negan storyline. We got the dumpster scene when they were at Alexandria. We got the rocket launcher scene with Daryl. So we had some highlights. Not everybody was super excited about the Kingdom storyline. Now you could say that's the Kingdom, but you did still have Alexandria, and that's where your community sort of came together. So after they arrived in Alexandria, what's our story? We knew Carl was going to get shot in the face, but it was basically the wolves, Rick and Jesse, her drunk husband, enforcing some law in Alexandria. Rick's walking the streets. He has no authority, and then they give him a badge, and then he becomes a security guard, and then, that's, if we're honest, is that even close to as good as the prison or Terminus? I would argue no. And I know Eric chimed in a little bit ago and said, hey, Kills, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. But if I got to put the prison, Terminus, and Alexandria side by side, I just feel like, yeah, it did have a different feel. Yeah, Morgan back. So, it created some conversation. We had things to talk about, but it was normal stuff we were talking about. It wasn't really those aha moments like the Herschel scene or look at the things that happened in the prison. With Lori, with Carl having to kill Lori, with the governor, with Herschel. With Beth and Daryl. There were some good things, shocking things that went down at the prison. So I guess kind of the point of Alexandria was they tried to make the group too comfy, and maybe they drug it on a little too much. Would you agree with at least that portion of their argument? That there are probably some things that they could have done to spice up Alexandria a little bit more, a little bit faster. That dude from the Wolves body slammed. No, it was Morgan, right? Wasn't it Morgan that body slammed Carol and they got in the fight? That wasn't even the Wolves guy, I don't think. Yeah, okay, good. It was Morgan and Carol. So, and then, Morgan couldn't kill anybody, and then, we kind of got that whole back to the stick thing. So check this out. Morgan and Carol, right around the same time, neither one of them wanted to kill anybody again. Probably the time that we needed Morgan and Carol to kill people the most. And I'm kind of going back and thinking about that. That's not a time to take a vow. That's a time to be a little bit more beast mode. So, Screen Rant's getting a couple points. But let me also ask this. Now let's take the opposite end of the spectrum. all the things that I mentioned to you, and I think they're all good points, is that enough to make fans start exiting the show? See, that's where I would argue no. Was it a little stale at times? Yes. But was it to an extreme where if you're a fan of this type of genre, or you're a fan of zombies and The Walking Dead, that all of a sudden 1 million viewers are going to stop watching over about a season? No, I don't think that's the case. I would argue this. I would say that spoilers, I love my Firefly. I love my Ninja Pancakes in the morning. Look, I would say spoilers, as much as we like to use them, I think spoilers started to hurt the ratings of Walking Dead. And I know that's a tough, I'm not blaming anybody. But you see, that's about the time that multiple spoiler sites started really, really getting into The Walking Dead. In season 5, when they started to really ramp up and pique people's interest, that's where the spies, the drones, the rumors, the stuff started getting out there a little bit earlier. And I feel like there's a certain amount of people that love the spoilers, which I do, to validate. But there's also a certain amount of people that when spoilers start to circulate, or let's say you're a Walking Dead fan and you open YouTube and the first thing that pops up is Negan's going to kill Glenn and Abraham. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not true. But if you're on the fence, it took this, and that's the point, Amy. I think it took the suspense away from the TV show to a degree where AMC actually had cease and desist orders sent out to spoiler sites, trying to block them, threatening them. And then it got toned down. But I kind of lived through this in season 6 and season 7, because season 6 is where I started talking about The Walking Dead. And AMC personally went after Pam from Spoiling Dead Fanpage. I saw it. I got messages from her. So I understand what they were going through, and the liability became, how do we talk about it and report it without being sued for doing what we're doing? So it was enough of an issue that they were afraid of it. And why were they afraid of it? Because it was hurting their ratings. So I would say to Screen Rant, your article's incorrect. I would say if Screen Rant would have published and said, spoilers hurt the ratings for Walking Dead, I would have agreed with that. So I think as much as the Alexandria storyline had some opportunity, it was a coincidence that was happening at the same time the spoiler sites were really digging in, and not just Spoiling Dead's fan page. There's other sites that were out there. There's other people that were profiting from it. And even to a degree where we tuned away from it and got more into, let's not do it first. Let's let other people publish it first and get it out there, and we'll still do our theories. And then on Thursday or Friday, we'll validate the spoilers. We'll use the spoilers to validate whether we were right or wrong. And we've always kind of thrown those warnings up there. I have a lot of fans who love spoilers, and I have a lot of people that just avoid them. And we have to put on our fan page, don't tune in because you're liable to see something. I know several of you that when it's a spoiler stream, you're like, hey, love hanging out with you guys, but I don't want to watch it. But it is, so let me ask this question. Those of you that just religiously avoid spoilers, how hard is it? How hard is it to tell your coworkers not to talk about The Walking Dead? Or to not open YouTube and see it on your main page? Or to not go on Facebook and see it in your news feed, somebody commenting on something that happened? How difficult is it? It is. So if that's the hassle, then you can understand why people will say, look, it's not worth continuing to watch it. And I think that's a deal breaker for a lot of people. And there's your ratings fall. Now, AMC's smart. They don't give up on this. So what did AMC start doing to go after the spoiler sites? Let's see. And I know a lot of you don't love it, but as a business, pretty smart. But AMC had a direct response. Nope, not even releasing fake spoilers, although that has happened. That is correct. A couple of occasions. No. AMC Premiere. They founded AMC Premiere for the ability to profit off what the spoiler sites are profiting off of, which actually was one of the things that helped their ratings, because now the spoilers come out, and then as soon as people get the early spoilers, AMC, because the spoiler sites, look, as much as the spoiler sites tell you they got somebody on the inside and they're filming and they're doing drones, is bullshit. The way the spoiler sites are getting their information is when the production companies and the stations get the early viewing. And when they get the early viewing, they have the ability to get that information 2 or 3 days early because somebody's watched it. So what AMC started doing with AMC Premiere, that is the early viewing. It's only slightly different between the times where it's available for people and it's available, they can just upload it online and bam, it's ready to go. So it cuts the time out, whereas before it would be 3 days early, 4 days early. Now you're talking about less than 24 hours. The info's out there, and then immediately AMC Premiere, almost immediately, is already getting views, and people are paying a membership fee for that, a subscription fee for that. So that's one. And let me also not take away from the wonderful work that Angela Kang did as well. There are a couple things that have increased ratings. But I would say AMC Premiere is a part of that, and Angela Kang with a fresh story and a fresh perspective is a big part of that as well. And I think that puts us in a pretty good spot right now. And, you know, I'd almost compare it to say kind of stop the bleeding. Like, I don't feel like there's this continued exodus from The Walking Dead. I think they lost what they lost between 5 and 6. spoilers ramped up. The Negan story was not something that everybody loved, so I think they lost a few with the Negan story as well. Not as much, but I mean, these are things that I think hurt a little bit, and then they learned from it. Julia Muse, love talking to Walking Dead. I do too. I miss, I miss hanging out and talking about this awesome show with you guys and the theories and the other articles that are out there. And we'll certainly get back to a more ramped up version of it as well. But appreciate that, Julia. So I think there's all these elements, and I think it's a little naive and a little short-sighted for journalists to come out and say, well, this is the direct reason of this. And I'm doing a portion of it with the spoilers, but I'm not going to put all my eggs in that basket. I'm just going to defer to a combination of events. The other thing is show fatigue. As you get further and further along in a show, well, there's people that it's just not their thing anymore. I have friends that stopped watching The Walking Dead, and when I ask them, several had a very similar question. Yes, I have friends. Don't even type it. Why'd you stop watching The Walking Dead? Just didn't care for it anymore. No singular event. Just, they thought they've seen enough zombies and people killing zombies in the story. They just didn't feel the story anymore. They weren't connected to it any longer. And I think for me coming in late, I didn't start at season 1. I started watching probably about season 4. Started discussing it season 6, a couple years later. But everybody that brought me to the show said, you're going to love this show because you're going to connect with the characters. And they're right. And I think when you get to that point where you stop connecting with the characters, well, you watch for different reasons. Some people, doesn't matter. They just want to see what happens. Donnie T says, still my favorite show. And I would agree, Donnie, still my favorite show. And you know what? It's the favorite show of most people here because it's kind of what brought our channel together. But when Game of Thrones was in its last season, a lot of our Walking Dead fans would come on here and say, I really like Game of Thrones more. And that's their right. I don't know that I did. Well, you know what? At times I did. There's things in the Game of Thrones that I did like better than The Walking Dead. But if you ask me, like, which one would I rather follow, Walking Dead would be more my story. I connect more with Walking Dead than I do with Game of Thrones. But I certainly appreciate both. And I think the actors in both are incredible. So, we're coming up on almost an hour. And I do want to keep this in an hour, and then we'll be back next week. Hopefully, we'll have more information. Now that they're going to be working and editing tomorrow, I think it forces them to make public statements about how close they're getting. Because as fans, we're going to keep asking them. So we know they're back working tomorrow. I think you'll get an update fairly soon, and hopefully by next Thursday we'll have really something tangible. I think a lot of times we see Easter eggs, but sometimes we look for Easter eggs and we see things that are not there. But this one was fairly interesting too, and I'll kind of close with this being one of our topics to talk about. And I think it's yet to be seen with Sherry and Dwight and CRM. But there's a Walking Dead fan that came up with a theory that when Dwight was looking for Sherry and opened up the rings, that the 3 rings in Dwight's hand was an Easter egg for CRM. I don't know. You know, I went back, I looked at the picture. It is 3 rings. They are sort of laid out very obviously in his hand to look like that. But I'm not sure. You know, that's one I got to think about a little bit more. And I think I need to see more of what's going on with Sherry before I make that statement. It's one of those kind of after-the-fact Easter eggs, like Dimes just said a minute ago. Like, every time I watch the episode, I see something new. I mean, we still don't know what the hell PPP is. That's got to be answered. I mean, we have to... I need to see somebody opening up a sliding door or one of those robotic doors with that key card, and it needs to be as obvious as the sun coming up to get me an answer. We are far past due to find out what this PPP stands for. So they look like they're going to be, right, AB, PPP, Heath. They look like they're going to be big questions that are going to carry over into the movie. And, you know, if we weren't where we were at with this pandemic, we might have already had the answer coming out this fall. I mean, we would have been closer. So certainly real-life events have pushed our curiosity a little bit more because we have not gotten the answers that we may be closer to getting. And we may not get them till next year. But, yeah, there's some interesting questions that we still need to get answers to. And with that, that's our bullet points for tonight. So, as always, I want to thank all of you guys for being a part of our channel. Miss you guys. Can't wait for more Walking Dead content to come out, bigger and more amazing than ever. And we try to have something for everybody. We're going to keep doing this, but you guys know that we've ramped up our own role-playing, turn-based experience called Play Dead Live, where we create characters and we create our own zombie storyline. So if you guys aren't doing anything on a Friday night, come hang out with us tomorrow night. Very casual, fun, turn-based. Even if you're not a big gamer, you're going to see a lot of these people that play the game just kind of goofing off, having a great time. Or jump in one of our streams on a Saturday and we're doing a pack opening. We do the pack openings, but there's just a lot of casual chat, goofing off. We're very social, and you know, other questions certainly come up from time to time. So with that being said, we'll be back here tomorrow night at 9 o'clock for some Play Dead Live. Saturday, we will be doing pack opening most of the day, so I'll be streaming live. And then Saturday evening, got some PvP. And then next week, we will kick it off all over again. And hopefully, we get a little bit more info to share with you guys. Thanks for everything that you guys do. Give this video a thumbs up. And let me get some shout-outs. Can I get a whole lot of 999s up in chat so I can shout out as many of you as possible? Once again, a super special shout-out to our moderators. Amy, Julia, Ben, Tommy the Tank, and Kel. They work absolute overtime. They're doing a great job. Also, a shout out to our 2 brand new super fans of the month, Gemstone and Moonshot. Thank you so much. You guys do so much for the channel. I want you guys to be recognized as well. Also, for that green team, everybody whose name's in green that has the custom emojis, they are longtime supporters of this channel. If you guys are interested in being a member, there's a link down below. You can hit it. And, of course, all of our sponsors and all of our patrons and all of our PDL sponsors. And there's sponsor packs going out in July. You're probably saying, like, wow, this channel has a lot of support. And I'm going to say, you're absolutely right. We do. We've got amazing support. And I also want to say, last and certainly not least, all of our channel members, everybody type in 999, Lisa E., Tammy Hill, Goucher, Lynn Nesvik, Janie Fogel, Samantha Coombs, Heart of Nixie, Phyllis 2284, Jerry Atchison, Ocean Man, Angel, Trigger, Northside Queen. And once again, happy birthday to Romel. Also, Diana C., Anthony Ancona, Mary Manhard, Donnie T., Dead Shred, Animal, Father Ron. There's not a day that goes by that I don't look at this group and the amazing group of people we have that are involved in our channel in so many different ways, whether it's talking about a TV show, whether it's spoilers that we get together, whether it's a reaction video, whether it's these, this game that we play or these faction leaders within our game. I'm extremely, extremely fortunate to be surrounded by just an amazing group of people. Hippo in the house. And, you see little things like Hippo and his son's birthday last week, and he's rocking a 999 Army shirt. So, it's all those little things that we've done over the last 6 years. 6 years, everybody, that just make me want to do this for another 6 years. At least. That's minimum another 6 years. And hopefully we have Walking Dead content for the next 6 years. If we don't, then we're going to be playing Play Dead Live, or we're going to be on to the next big TV show as well. I see you, Rocket Crockett. So if I missed you in a shout-out, I will catch you guys next time. Have a good night, everybody. I'll see PDL players tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. Peace.